Colleagues, I rise to speak today because a speech from the throne should be a vision for an entire country, for all of its citizens, in all of the regions. So a few thoughts about my part of the country. Farming is a tough business. Mother Nature is a cruel taskmaster. Rail strikes and port closures make the razor-thin margins even thinner. Carbon taxes and emission caps are punitive and kill jobs. And all this at a time when the world needs what we have more than ever. Since the days of World War II, when Canada not only served alongside but fed our allies in Britain and Europe, farming, agriculture has truly been work that gives purpose to our plenty. And today, there are still foreign wars, and the world still needs what we produce. So why does it seem that governments, and even this chamber, seem determined to make a tough business tougher? And more troubling is that the endless rules and regulations are putting the products they grow and the livestock they raise, the things that Canada creates to feed ourselves and the world, well, it all just seems to conspire to price our products out of the market and our farmers out of business. It seems deliberate, sometimes even mean-spirited, targeting farmers with implausible restrictions on the use of fertilizer or rules that put undue burden for the ills of climate change on those who do more to save our air and our soil and our open spaces than anyone else. The climate activists, including those around the cabinet table, too often ignore reality and seem insensitive to geography or weather, the size of the farm, new technology, trade wars, and to the current practices that have put our agricultural sector on the leading edge of sustainable practices globally. So, why? Is it, as one cabinet minister noted, because the West doesn't vote Liberal? Simple urban biases? As for the Senate, we are constitutionally designated to be the voice of the regions, but we are increasingly seen to be no friend of the farmer, guilty of willful ignorance. We embrace all manner of bills that seem hell-bent on everything from punishing the farmer who wants to bequeath land to the next generation to replacing our food with lab-made versions of what we already have. It feels as if I'm always explaining that food doesn't come from the store. Several years back in this place, we almost passed a bill that would have declared bread unhealthy. Whole wheat, 7 grain. The bill raised issues of legal liability and the implications for trade and commerce. And if we had then tried to export a product that we ourselves had declared unhealthy, think of the consequences. We ship some 22 megatons of wheat to over 65 countries every year. We are one of the world's largest exporters of wheat. It would have been devastating for grain farmers. In 2023, the agri-food system employed 2.5 million people, counting for 1 in 9 jobs, and generating $150 billion. That's 7% of our GDP. Our primary agricultural producers alone, just one part of the food chain, are responsible for 250,000 jobs, contributing 1.4% to the GDP. There are about 190,000 farms in Canada, more than 60 million hectares, although I still think in acres and sections. But what this land produces pays for everything from highways to health care to homes. We have amazing innovators and entrepreneurs such as Murad Al-Khatib, a good Saskatchewan boy who runs a global multi-billion-dollar business, AGT Foods, exporting food products to the world, including lentils to feed the growing and often undernourished populations throughout Southeast Asia. This is what agriculture does. Last year, the Senate had the opportunity to pass C-234 and give farmers some desperately needed relief from the carbon tax on gas and propane for heating outbuildings and barns, and for the hugely expensive process of grain drying. Some of the arguments betrayed the ignorance of what modern farming is, and in the end, we gutted the bill and sent it to the other place to die. But now a new round of punitive energy use rules, detailed just yesterday, that will again punish farmers and no doubt end up in costly court battles. Another private member's bill, C-293, before our chamber right now, takes aim at industrial animal agriculture, including auction marts, under the guise of pandemic preparedness, and gives officials sweeping new powers to shut down agricultural facilities. Saskatchewan farmers such as Brianna Callan says C-293 targets the animal agriculture industry by unfairly linking it to pandemics and diseases, connections that have not been yet supported by science, but which is making her operation even more precarious. Then there is C-275, which would amend the Health of Animals Act to impose fines on trespassers. Very helpful for farmers who face the costly consequences of protesters who may think they are saving animals, but who are actually contaminating and damaging farms and even endangering the animals. Once again, the Senate amended the bill, casting the legal net so wide it could now capture the farm families and employees themselves. The problem, activists are thrilled, as it makes the bill almost impossible to enforce. The block bill, C-282, is aimed at protecting Quebec's dairy quota supply management system, but this too could jeopardize future free trade negotiations for all of Canada, deals such as USMCA or CUSMA. And it is a bill which once again divides the agricultural community and exacerbates the already powerful regional tensions in this country. There's Bill C-280. We've just been studying that at banking. It's a bill to offer some financial protection for producers of fresh product with short shelf lives. But once again, Senate amendments will undermine the true intent, giving higher priority to others up the supply chain rather than to those whose product is perishable. And it will also potentially limit our access to U.S. markets. S-243 takes direct aim at energy and agriculture sectors by calling for more restrictive financing for farms and agriculture operations on environmental grounds. Farms actually run on credit. Without it, farms can't operate. No business can. And there have been many tax rules aimed at the business of farming as well. Government threatened the right of farm families to split income for tax purposes when it's clear that these are family operations. And it creates tax chaos and more accounting expenses. And now the retroactive capital gains changes, not yet supported by legislation, are making it difficult for small and medium businesses to plan. You might have seen it, but a young PEI farmer, Logan Doherty, broke down in tears before a House committee last week, saying handing down the farm to his generation is now probably out of reach. So you can see why the agricultural sector is concerned about whether its government understands how it works and its important contribution when so many obstacles are put in the way. And when flawed legislation is passed, then the battles move from Parliament to the courts, and we continue to deal today with legally challenged bills like 48 and 69, and now Bill 59, aimed at greenwashing, but which actually silences those in industries such as energy and agriculture, who dare not try to explain their progress on the climate front for fear of the legal challenges. In fact, some energy companies have even shut down their websites in fear of the fines for simply stating the facts. Agriculture, ag-tech, agri-food, it's all a successful and growing sector, but the cost of doing business is skyrocketing. Inputs, everything from multi-million-dollar combines to insurance bills to the cost of seed and feed, is spiraling, taking a heavy toll. Outstanding farm debt in Canada has more than doubled in the last 20 years. In 2022, it totaled $140 billion, with profit margins as low as 5 cents on the dollar. These days, less. Whenever a government wants to send a message to a foreign competitor, for example, make a show of saying no to the Chinese on EVs, the price ends up being paid by our canola farmers or our beef or pork producers, because they are the ones retaliated against. No cabinet minister pays a price. Farmers have long survived on faith. In my part of the world, we call it next year country, hoping that next year might be better. No late hailstorms or rain or snow in the spring, or new laws that can change the rules of the game. So to survive and thrive, hope must always trump fear, because the elements will always conspire. Mother Nature, war, trade deals, and of course, politics here at home. It will always be part of the risk. Two optimistic notes: an appreciation from the grain growers of Canada for the good work of two MPs, the Senate Banking Committee, and this chamber, especially Senators Deakin and Housakis, for their work to see the passage of Bills C-244 and 294, the so-called right to repair bills, which will save our ag producers time and money so they can fix their equipment in a timely manner, while offering all the necessary protection for crucial diagnostic software development and IP. Let's hope it will be incentive for the provinces to follow suit. We here are the chamber of sober second thought. We know the other place is, by design, captured by electoral politics and partisan interest. That's their role. It means our responsibility, however, is vital to those we represent to always consider the unintended consequences of the bills we receive and to ensure we do no harm as we consider those bills. That is our paramount obligation. Thank you, colleagues, for listening.